Hi, my name is Shayna and I'm here to help you make your editing process a little bit easier. I'm a photographer as well as an artist. Today I wanted to focus on Photoshop and photography, so let's just get into it. There are many different ways that you can edit your skin to make it look smooth. My personal favorite in Photoshop is frequency separation. This was very difficult for me to wrap my head around, so I really had to hunker down and find the best video that explained it easy and just simple. But honestly, there's not many videos out there. The photo I'm going to be working with today is one that I took a while back with this lovely model. I think that this is just the perfect base for frequency separation. Okay, so the first thing that you're gonna do is duplicate your layer. You don't want to have destructive editing. With this layer, we're just gonna go in and clean up any sort of bumps on the skin or any sort of imperfections that aren't normally there. We want to work with a clean base. It's really important to note that you want to keep any sort of moles or beauty marks and scars on the face, because that's what makes that person them. You're not trying to change the person's appearance, you're just trying to enhance it. When I clean up the skin, I like to use the spot healing brush tool. I know some people prefer the clone stamp tool, but honestly the spot healing brush is the easiest and it's the fastest. So you can see that I didn't do anything too crazy to her skin. Here's the before and after. I just got rid of some little bumps on her face that the harsh light was casting a shadow on. So now I'm happy with that base. Let's move on to frequency separation. The first step that you're gonna do is duplicate this layer twice. So you should have layer 1 copy and layer 1 copy 2. We're gonna name layer 1 copy blur and layer 1 copy 2 texture. This is just to help you decipher which layer is which. You don't have to name your layers, although it does keep you organized. But we're gonna work on the blur layer, which is underneath the texture layer. And with this layer, we're just gonna add Gaussian blur. To find that, you go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian blur. When I do frequency separation, I usually go around the 9.5% pixels for this. You can adjust it however you would like, but 9.5 is my favorite. So that's it. That's all you do to the bottom layer there. So if you click the eyeball on the texture, that bottom layer, the blur layer, should be blurred. And if it is, then you did it right. So the top layer, the texture layer, you go Image, Apply Image. We have to go in and change these settings to make it correct. For the layer that we're working on, it says that we're working with all the layers combined to the merged layer. We don't want that. We want to work with the layer underneath our texture layer, which is the blur. Make sure that your layer that you're selected on is the blur layer. That means that both the texture layer and the blur layer are now working together, and that's pretty much what frequency separation is. So the channel RGB is correct. You don't need to invert it. The blending mode needs to go to subtract, and you should have a weird grayed image like this. It should look weird. You're fine. Opacity 100%, scale is 2, and offset is 128. If your apply image box looks like this, then you did it correct. You just press OK and it leaves you with this. Now we have to go into our blending modes and click linear light, and that brings the original image back. Now that we've gone through that, the hard stuff is pretty much done. We're going to use the lasso or lasso tool, I don't really know how to say it, and we are going to zoom in onto our image. And now select any portion of the face that you feel like needs a little bit of smoothing out. For instance, I'm just going to go into the forehead here. And now we're going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian blur. This is the fun part. You can play with any sort of percentage you want here. Again, I'll go 9.5, maybe 12 if I want, because if you go too high, you can see the skin starts to get all flat and grayed out. You don't want that. You want to keep the highlights there. For this image, I think I'm going to go 10. 10 seems right. That's pretty much it. You just go around and select any sort of skin and apply the Gaussian blur effect to it, and it'll smooth the skin out for you. It's important to note that you don't want to select the eyes or the nose or the lips or even the fingers, because that's where you want the most depth in your photo. That's what keeps the photo alive. So if you flatten that, your photo is just gonna look way over edited. So make sure that you avoid those areas and only focus on the skin. I applied the effect to her skin, and I will show you before and after. Here's before and after, before, after. Not much has changed, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to keep the texture in her skin. I just wanted to smooth it all over and make it just a little bit more clean. That's it, frequency separation, that's how you do it. Once I got it down and once I figured out what the settings were and what sort of blending modes I'm working with, it's so easy. I use it every day or every time I have a shoot. It never does me wrong. If you want to take it the extra mile for skin retouching, you can take your clone stamp tool and go over any areas that need a little bit more help. I was working with really harsh light during this shoot, so there is a glare on her forehead. So I would just take the clone stamp tool, click a part of her skin that's a little bit darker than the highlight, and go over it with a low opacity and a light brush. This way, I will still keep that highlight on her forehead, because if I take it away, it would look unnatural. But this way it just sort of dims it and makes it a lot less distracting if you're looking at the photo really quick. So if you see right there, before, after, the highlight's still there, it's just not the focal point of the image anymore. If you're using Facetune, it's the same fundamentals. You just go through and you get rid of any sort of like bumps on your skin. Start with a clean base. Then you'll go with your smoothing tool and you'll go over your skin and smooth out any areas that need help. Yeah. I hope this helps you. If you want to follow me on my socials, my photography Instagram is Shayna Schaefer and my art Instagram is Shayna Visual Art. I'm on there often, so you can check out my work. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a good one.